Well, hello, everyone. This is Data Driven Formula One with Patrick Hans and Ganna. Hi, Patrick.
Hello, everyone. Nice to be back from our longer winter break. Back now and already in 2023.
Yeah, a summer break for those few of us in Australia, but Southern Hemisphere. But
yes.
Yeah, I just kind of also wanted to explain to everybody what happened. So I think we just had some kind of scheduling issues in the sense that first I think Patrick had some things that were going on at the end of December. Then I had a lot of things that were going on during the holidays, including various visits from relatives and other things. And yeah, so we just physically didn't manage to record anything. So that's kind of why we've been away. But it's great to be back. And yeah. Today we're talking about. Today we will talk about what is going to happen in 2023, not only with Formula One but also with this channel, and hopefully tell you some news. Yeah.
Correct. So it's practically an untypical episode for us, as mostly we focus on history. We started in 1950. We are now in the middle of the 80s, where we're speaking about the different seasons, speaking about drivers, teams, and other interesting developments. So today we use the opportunity, as we are still in the winter or summer break of Formula One, to see a little bit what we expect from this year. And from my point, it should become a quite interesting year for various reasons.
Yeah, that's right. And kind of also before we go into that, I just wanted to say that for those of you who joined us and don't know what it is, we initially started this as a podcast, so the visuals that you see actually extra. So, and also what we do is, we only show the material that we can legally obtain and have the right to show, and something that is in the public domain, or we have the license to show, or we purchase the rights to show. So essentially, we really encourage you always to go to the original, footage that we discuss, or look at the actual websites of drivers and maybe website of FIA. And so if you're new to this channel, of course, we always encourage you to subscribe and press the bell and make sure that you get reminders about the episodes. So that'd be great. But essentially, we are kind of what we've been doing. We just talk to each other, and we have some visuals. Yeah. If you watch us on YouTube or Spotify. And we really encourage you to actually see us on YouTube because that's our main platform. But we also exist on various other platforms. Thanks to Patrick as a podcast. So welcome if you are new to the channel.
Right. So we are practically what you can call an enhanced podcast. If possible, really, you should try to see the videos as we discuss, of course, the design of the cars. So it's always good to have the picture so that you know what we are talking about or whom we are talking about. As, for example, we have 2 new drivers for 2023. And for me, quite interesting because they have quite a different background. The first Ganna may be a little bit nearer to you as he's an Australian.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. So because I'm currently based in Australia, and so for Australians it's a big deal. So we have an Australian in Australia in Formula One, and this is great news. Yeah, it's been a while.
Right, and he replaces Alfonso, who quite surprisingly switched from Alpine to Aston Martin, which will be interesting to see if this was really a smart move, because Aston Martin was not really that convincing in 2022 to
Yeah,
say it that way.
but I mean, Aston Martin just as an engineering team and generally, if we think about Aston Martin, really, they can surprise us, I think.
Yeah.
So we will see what they have in stock, and as we know, in Formula One, nothing can be predicted until we actually see the cars. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to actually seeing the makes this year and actually understanding what the differences are. And yeah, but coming back to Oscar Piastri, who is an Australian driver. I think for all Australians who really who are really interested in Formula One, this would be an interesting year. So surely everyone who lives in Melbourne, I'm sure, is really excited. I am based in Sydney, so if you're not familiar with Australia, I mean, there is a constant kind of competition between states. And I'm currently in New South Wales, and this guy's from Melbourne, from Victoria. But nevertheless, when we have international competition, then all Australians support, obviously, the national team, and this is a chance for all Australians to now cheer for an Australian driver, which is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, and interesting facts. If you see his date of birth, 6 April of 2001, I'm not completely sure, but he may be the first driver born in this millennium. I don't know if he had such drivers in the past seasons already.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure about that. We can check. We can check that. But I think for Formula One, he's probably definitely not the youngest driver ever
Oh, he may
starting,
start
right?
at the youngest.
Yeah, because we had people starting earlier than than
That's right.
22, right? But yeah. So in any case, I think. It will definitely be an interesting an interesting start, and of course he has really great CV so far in Formula 3 and Formula 2, and yeah, it's just, I think, we've been kind of waiting for some Australian talent to be represented in Formula 1, and this is a great chance for us to see an Australian driver.
Correct. And besides this, his path is rather conventional. If we take off that he first starts with remote control car racing before entering karting. But let's say 2019 Formula Renault Euro Cup, 2020 Formula 3, 2021 Formula 2. So rather conventional way to come to Formula 1. So practically this is the way as you normally should do it.
Yeah, and I guess I mean, if we are talking about this generation of drivers, they probably all kind of came out of Nintendo Switch and Mario Kart or something like this. But I mean, joking aside, I just want to say that the kind of console racing has really become so much better than it used to be, and you can see, we saw from the 2020 season how well actual Formula One drivers are driving, in e-car competitions, and it's not a completely useless skill if you are driving, if you are really a fan of different console games, and if you have if you're racing in kind of other virtual spaces. Yeah.
Exactly. I don't know who it is, but there is one driver who switched from esports to physical car racing, not Formula One so far, but we have drivers who really have this curriculum, having 1 year esports and then another year the traditional cars. I mean, also, of course, a question of budget, as esports is much cheaper than, for example, karting here.
Right.
But just, yeah.
Right, definitely, and we have to probably remind you if you're not aware of this, but for the racing generally is a very expensive hobby.
Yeah.
So you obviously need to be quite good in mechanics, not just driving, and you constantly depend on quite a lot of people. And so we mostly see in Formula One either really rich kids or someone who was like really into it and had it as racing as a hobby and really pushed his parents above and beyond their capacity to
Yes.
support. Um, and but I mean, I think definitely Oscar has a very promising, like a very promising career so far, and yeah, definitely has great racing talent. So we'll see how it plays out. Because as we always say with Patrick, it's not just the driver, right? You need to have the
Yeah.
team, you need to have the right car, you need to have a luck, I guess, to some extent with the weather, the circumstances. There are a lot of factors that come into play, and as we kind of talked about the Formula One history and analyzed each season, we see that there are great drivers who sometimes don't get to be the champions. Even if everything, like all of these things are there is a great team and there is a great make, but there is no luck, for example, right? Then you're not really becoming a champion, something like this. So yeah, we'll see. It will be exciting.
That's right. I think both drivers we can agree on have the talent, so they are not just a paid driver because they have rich parents, but both are them very talented. To finish with Oscar, just to make it clear, he's not coming from esports, but remote control racing, meaning something like that,
Yeah.
which I was. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, quite another fun fact. So, this is, of course, not a racing remote car. It's a remote car, but just for fun. And this is the guy here inside is the one who is Oscar replacing at Alpine. This is
Mm-hmm.
Fernando Alonso
Yeah,
in
I didn't mean
version
sorry.
remote.
I didn't mean to associate him with esport. I was just saying that because of his age, and
Right.
I hope you guys forgive me for so a little bit of ageism. I'm pretty sure that he played some of the
Yes.
driving on consoles and maybe Nintendo Switch or some other maybe on some other platforms. That's what
Yeah,
I meant.
I would assume that today all drivers use
Simulators, definitely,
the
yeah.
simulators, even for basic things, maybe to learn about the track or refresh how the track is. So I would assume all of them using such technologies. Not only the professional simulators which they have in the headquarters, where is the engineering, but also just the PlayStation at the hotel.
Okay, this is the guy, the second person who is
Yeah,
starting in 2023,
yeah,
and he made waves on social media because of
right.
his name, right? And I'm sure that many of you are familiar with Nick de Vries, but a lot of fans were surprised that his name wasn't actually Nick. Yeah, so because he's Dutch, obviously his first name is Hendrik, but the cool thing about generally about people from Netherlands is that you can shorten the names uh, in any form possible. I mean, I guess this is a little bit similar to people coming from Asia because they just can take a completely different English name. For example, if they come from China, and it would be completely disassociated with the last name. But just kind of before this episode, I have done quite a bit of research on him, and I found that there was a whole wave of comments on Twitter about his first name, because a lot of people actually thought that his name was Nick. NYCK Nick, and then they were really surprised that his name wasn't Nick.
Yeah, but at least he has this Nicasius, and I assume that comes from.
No. It's obviously can come from either Hendrik or Nicasius, right? But yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of people actually thought that was his actual name, because that's how it is. I mean, there's not many. I guess there are not many drivers who have a name that is kind of just used for competitive sport. But anyway.
Yep. If you see in comparison to Oscar, he's a little bit older, 6 years older, and he has the experience being the reserve driver for Mercedes-Benz. So maybe a little bit surprising that he changes from Mercedes to the direct competitor. Well, not direct competitor, but the junior team Alpha Tauri. But nevertheless, I think if you have the opportunity to drive, then you have to go for it. His path is a little bit different. He in 2010 and 2011 he had been the karting world championship, then F2, quite normal. But 22 to 21 he drove in the Formula E championship. So the championship with electric cars. And maybe we could also discuss this a little bit in one of our future episodes, because Formula E has many relations, not many relations, but in some points is similar to Mario Kart, as you can drive over, let's say, virtual energy pills to get extra power. You have this fan boost if the people like you on Instagram. So there are a lot of virtual gimmicks in Formula E, which maybe are more applying for the Generation C, Generation Alpha, so the younger motorsport fans.
Yeah, generally, I want to say that I personally absolutely love reserve drivers, and I think we should talk about them, because also women drove were reserve drivers and that's the drivers for Formula One. And I think these guys actually make the sport as we know it, because as a star driver, you do obviously the big thing, the show and everything, and you are a household name, but a lot of work happens behind the curtains, and these are the guys who actually do a lot of important work for the teams. And it's really cool. Like, I'm really happy when we see reserve drivers of promoted to the season, because it's really interesting how they're gonna fare out there. And it also means that like reserve drivers normally and test driver is normally a person who is really in touch with analytics, so who is more calculating, more analytical. And I'm really excited about these folks generally. So we'll see how Nick fares in the competition. But coming from obviously Mercedes Petronas pedigree, I think he should be good. Let's hope that he will get lucky with the car and the make, and I think it will be again an interesting thing to see. I want to say, unfortunately, it's Williams, but it's also interesting that it's Williams, because as we always discuss it, Williams is that experimental team, right? So they constantly experiment, they constantly try new things, and it will be definitely an experiment, and yeah, we'll see how it works out.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say, but he will drive for Alpha Tauri. He was
Oh, sorry, Alpha
last year
Tauri.
doing
Yeah.
his. He was doing last year the debut at Williams,
Yeah.
which worked out quite well, and that's why he got the attention to drive the whole season. Again,
Yeah.
due to our opinion, that they both have the skills to be here. What may have helped Nick a little bit is that we have all the enthusiasm in the Netherlands. So having a second Dutch driver, also, let's say from a marketing point, should work out fine.
Yeah. Apologies for the mix up. Yeah, it's definitely for Alpha. Yeah.
Okay, and so these are the two youngsters. Somebody who's returning, and we not have him on our page, is Nick Hulkenberg, the Hulk, who will replace Mick Schumacher at Haas Ferrari, which also could be interesting due to his experience, due to his positive results. So I think he should be a good fit for the Haas team.
Yep. Yeah. I'm not sure what to say about Mick Schumacher, whether that was expected or unexpected thing, but I guess, yeah, I mean, it's, I guess expected for some. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can agree that Mick Schumacher has the talent, but let's say the last 2 years he wasn't. His results hadn't been that clear that you say that he had to have a seat this year. He is now a reserve driver, coming back to your point at Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah.
So I think a place where he can learn a lot, and hopefully we will see him back maybe already next year.
Let's see. Another very cool news about Alpha team. Not only are they getting Nick,
yeah.
but also Honda.
Yeah.
Which is not. I mean, it's not always a good thing. Not disrespect to Honda, but just kind of knowing the internal kitchen of Formula One. It's generally quite difficult to work with Japanese companies because obviously there's quite a delay in decision making. I'm not sure that's true for for Honda necessarily, but that seems to be generally the case, and we've discussed that before when we discussed Japanese kind of teams in general, and we will talk about Toyota, especially when we get to the 90s. We will talk about Toyota Formula One team. So to the extent that at one point, for example, Toyota was the biggest spender in Formula One, so they had the biggest budgets and they didn't have very good results. But Honda has proven, right, over the years, I don't know, Patrick, if you agree that they've, as a contributor, they are quite efficient. So, and I mean, I don't know what's the story about them partnering with Alpha Tauri, but I guess there was a particular reason for that.
Yeah, and this I just wanted to mention. Honestly, I'm not completely clear if this is really a change, a more technical involvement of Honda, or it is just a more sponsoring topic that Honda is paying money towards the budget to have the name there again. Let's say similar to Sauber, which has a sponsoring agreement with Alfa Romeo, or I'm not sure how Aston Martin is the case, if they're really owned by Aston Martin or just has been sponsored by Aston Martin. So I'm also not sure if this really is just that Red Bull and Alfa Tauri get additional money, and Honda is proud again the sponsor, and I think they already had the name in the last race of the 2022 season.
That's right. And I mean, I just remember like the latest kind of involved collaboration that I remember was with McLaren, I think, that Honda had. And yeah, I mean, it
No,
just,
sorry, I mean, they had been Red Bull Honda, and then last year they exited because they wanted to focus on the development of electric cars. And Red Bull acquired or rented the development from Honda, and now they seem to have again stronger relations.
yeah. I mean, I was gonna sort of go there, and so the sort of the so this current relationship with Red Bull, obviously, like you said, Patrick, it kind of goes through different motions, I guess, from developmental to sponsorship. But yeah, I mean, like from my memory, the collaboration with McLaren didn't go too well. So so let's see. Let's see what happens here. But I mean, it's always great to see that Honda is present in
Yeah,
Formula One. So that's definitely great news.
that's right. And another one coming back, Grand Prix, Las Vegas, last time in agenda 1982, but I think this was a completely different track layout. But
Yeah.
again, at least the
Mm-hmm.
city is back.
Yeah, and there is, I think, a lot of confusion online because some people are citing the previous track, which was kind of had nothing to do with the current track, and so the current track is actually quite like very similar to kind of traditional American tracks, if you will. It's not as curvy, right? More straight line-ish and all that. At least there is a large kind of more or less straight strip along the Las Vegas Boulevard. But you know, it's well, we'll see. I mean, I think it will be fun,
Yeah,
and it's always great to see kind of some old places coming back, and I also think that it's great to have more races in the US, because from memory, the if we look at kind of the fan base in Europe and fan base in the States, not as many people are following, I think, Formula
yeah,
One in the States, and it would be great to have more, to be honest. And
yeah.
so it's always great to have more tracks present from the US. Yeah.
Yep, and from my point of view, as Formula One is a very capitalist sport, the combination Formula One and Las Vegas is practically a match made in heaven.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember. So I lived in New York for 7 years, and as a Formula One fan, if you go and if you are in London, right, and you need to watch a Formula One race, you can go to any pub, like literally any pub will be showing
Yep,
Formula One race. But to find a pub in New York that would show Formula One was quite, it's quite a task. I mean, it's not like you can go into the first nearest bar and you find a screen and that where you would be able to watch race live. So that's quite. That was quite a difficult thing, but I mean, I'm sure there are other parts of the US where it's probably more popular. But again, great to see that more American, um, more American circuits are present in the sport.
yeah, and maybe this is also as society is changing here in the US. I mean, I'm here in the Atlanta area, so you see soccer, as you call it here, football gets much more attention than maybe 10 years now. Every matches are practically sold out, so there's a lot of popularity on soccer, and also I think other European sports like Formula One also get more attention due to more immigration, especially from Latin America, but also Asia and Europe. And as we are already speaking about politics and regulations, something what was a little bit discussed in the media is that the FIA's sporting code was updated to include stricter controls on drivers and teams making political, religious, and personal statements. As we remember the last years, especially Lewis Hamilton is very active and also stating against, for example, Black Lives Matter. Also, Sebastian Vettel had the various T-shirts which we had used the race weekend. And I think due to this article, this could be a little bit or completely limited.
Well, to be honest, I mean, some of the things should be probably better regulated. So I personally welcome this position. I know that this is quite controversial in terms of freedom of speech and everything else. So I'm sure there are people who would be against, but I just remember quite a few cases. One of them, including Lewis Hamilton, where Formula One drivers were also speaking in support of some countries that have political prisoners or countries that sort of start active wars against other countries. So, we just need, I think that it's a good thing to be careful. And at least before they say something, along those lines, they really need to check whose feelings they might be offending. At least they need to make an informed decision, I think. So again, if this is something that will be sort of, when a driver or a particular team has talked about this with the press office and considered the consequences and then said something, then it's definitely better than just making some random comment and then sort of suffering the consequences of it. I mean, it's just, as any piece of regulation, it just depends how they're going to use it, right? If they're going to use it for sort of in their own way and, sort of, for example, if we see some drivers supporting Ukraine, maybe, and actively talking about it, then it might not be a good thing. But then on the other hand, like I said, there were very unpleasant comments made before by Formula One drivers and some of the Formula One officials that I remember, and and should probably have been vetted or regulated in some way. So in any case, it would be good to at least understand whether that's coming from an individual and that's coming from the team as a whole. Yeah. So again, you can use this piece of regulation in a different way. So let's just hope that it's going to be used for the right reasons and in the right way. But having said that, like, again, I think that people should have the freedom of speech. That's one of a human rights, and you need to be. I think Formula One needs to be mindful of it as a sport, but at the same time, I can understand why they don't want to be associated with any political, religious, or personal scandals, because it's just going to get very difficult.
Yeah. So we will see how this will continue. If there will be controversies, especially with Lewis Hamilton, as he's, I guess, the most independent character of the actual drivers. Of course, controversial topic, especially as they relate here to the Olympic Committee. And if we saw the last event, Olympics, or also the soccer World Cup, sometimes you may think that it's first about money and then to find the right places where to have the event. So we will see how this will continue, if this will go smoothly or if drivers maybe tend to fight this. We will see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just wondering, do you know or remember what kind of penalties are there, or it's just a cautionary thing, like just basically
No,
you need to be new.
I haven't heard about penalties, but
Yeah,
I
what
assume as
consequences are there? Like if someone comes out and says something stupid, or if let's just say I kind of as a driver I wear a t-shirt that kind of supports Ukraine, for example. I mean, I
yeah,
don't know. Like, would that be, or will I guess that I will probably decide on case by case basis. But
yeah.
I would be kind of interested in what actually happens. Like, do you get disqualified? Do you get some points off? Do you get a warning? You know, what exactly happens? Yeah.
Yep, that's maybe we will see. Okay, let's speak about the new cars. We not saw any of them so far.
Not
Only
yet.
three have said when they will present the cars. Right at the moment, maybe there are already more dates out when we will publish this episode. Starting Alpha Tauri on the 11th of February in New York. I'm sure there is some marketing ideas behind this, why you do this in New York, because there's no racetrack to present the car. So I assume for some marketing reasons, Alpha Tauri is going to New York.
Well, New York is just a good place to have presentations.
Oh,
And,
yes,
yeah, I mean,
that's right.
business-wise, it's also probably quite easy to get to currently in the kind of post-pandemic world, and yeah, I guess it was just convenient.
Yeah, or I can imagine it's also maybe aligned with FIA, as we will have more races in the US. They also want to have presentations inside the US.
Yeah, probably.
Yep. This we're coming to the mentioned Aston Martin, 13th of February, and they're going to a quite classic place,
Silverstone.
which makes sense. I mean, Aston Martin in the traditional racing green, also some. I think in last years sponsored by James Bond, so they play the British card.
Well,
Uh,
Aston Martin, obviously,
Buddy,
yeah,
it's
it's a very famous James Bond brand, but
yeah,
but generally Silverstone is a great place to visit unless you visit it on a you know, close to some practice sessions or actually when the race is taking place and you don't have you didn't organize accommodation for yourself. I'm speaking from experience, but
yeah,
you know, generally, yeah, I mean, it's a great it's a great track. Yeah, if
yeah,
you get a chance to go to that circuit, you definitely should. Really.
exactly. And then the last car we know so far, Ferrari, they only represent their car on the 14th of February, so Valentine's Day. Not the first time that cars get presented on that day. I remember maybe 2 years ago, it was the Alfa Romeo team. Which presented their car on Valentine's Day, and they used a special Valentine's Day livery with little hearts. So maybe, well, no, honestly, I would be surprised if Ferrari will present a car in a Valentine's Day livery as Alfa Romeo did, because they're more established traditional team. But who knows? So 14th of February, and they not announced where it will be so far.
Yeah, you never know. Maybe it will be, you know,
Yeah,
this Valentine's Day extravaganza, and they will have gelato in the form of the new make. But maybe this is also, a gift from Ferrari to fans of both genders and other genders of the two sort of conventional genders and everybody else who is a non-conventional gender. So that would be cool. I'm sure it
so
will
we
be
will
fun anyway.
Yeah, so we will see where they go. Maybe to, I don't know, maybe they choose to go to Saudi Arabia, where they have a lot of customers, or they just do it in Fiorano to do something very traditional. We don't know. I would assume somewhere in Italy, nevertheless. And they present the cars in February, which they should do because pre-season testing will be in Bahrain at 23 to the 25th of February.
Oh, that's right. So yeah, we'll see.
Yep, we will see.
Yeah.
And last but
And now
not least, some ideas
to the exclusive of
for
today's
the exclusive.
the exclusive of today's of today's episode that Patrick
Right,
produced.
yeah, right. We
Patrick
spoke with our
you obtained. I just wanted to say that you obtained direct commentary from Lewis Hamilton himself.
Right, as he was over last weekend, he gave me some lines. Unfortunately, he couldn't participate today in the recording. For the case that you are in the audio podcast, I will read his lines, and after this, we will, of course, discuss it a little bit. As Lewis Hamilton, I'm always optimistic about the upcoming Formula One season, and 2023 is no exception. I believe it will be a highly competitive and exciting year for the sport, and I think we both agree to that. My team Mercedes has been dominant in recent years, and I have no doubt that we will continue to be a force to be reckoned with in 2023. Well, Mercedes wasn't that dominant the last 2 years, but anyway, let's continue. We have a great car and a fantastic team, and I know that we will pushing each other to perform at our best. Of course, we will also have stiff competition from other teams, especially Red Bull Racing and Ferrari. And honestly, this would be also my idea. To have the three teams closer together. As last year, Mercedes had some problems in designing the car, that they did something which they thought looked great on the paper, but didn't work out, and they couldn't completely change it over the season. But I'm quite sure they will be closer to the music this year. Red Bull Racing in particular has been closing the gap to us in recent seasons. Yes, you may say so. And they will be definitely be a team to watch in 2023. Ferrari also made big progress in the last years, and I agree to that, and they will come back even stronger next season. I think the new rules and regulations that have been introduced for 2023 will also play a big role in shaping the season. The new rules are aimed to make the cars faster and more aggressive, which should make for some exciting races. I think the teams that can best adapt to the new rules will have a big advantage. Personally, I will be looking to continue my winning streak, or maybe coming back to that, and add more world championships to my already impressive tally. I'm always striving to be the best, and I will be pushing myself harder than ever to achieve that goal. Overall, I believe the 2023 Formula One season is going to be a very exciting one, and I can't wait to get behind the wheel and show the world what I can do. Okay, so far, Lewis Hamilton, or to be honest with you, virtual Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Patrick, can you tell us a secret how you obtained this commentary from Lewis Hamilton?
I'm just on that. So I guess a lot of you have known about OpenAI and the famous chat GTP. So this is a great new AI tool which can do a lot for you, and it's for free. So it can write essays, answer your questions, write marketing text, write song texts, write poems, and the fun stuff is, well, you can ask the AI to act as whatever person and write something as this person would write it. As you may remember, many episodes before, we spoke about the digital counselor. That, for example, we may create, let's say, an Enzo Ferrari chatbot, which you can ask or speak with, and he would answer based on the information that we have about this person. And now, 2023, we are a step closer to this. As I said, I can ask the AI to answer like Lewis Hamilton would have answered. So, and this was, for example, the output. As I said, we are a step closer. We are not there yet because I did the same also asking the AI to answer this question as Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc. And to be very honest with you, the text was pretty much the same, only varied in some of the points. But so this text is the same, independent which Formula One driver I asked the AI to answer for.
Yeah,
I think
I mean, they
interesting.
just to explain. So the way the sensors are generated, they are probably learning on all interviews of the drivers, and
Yes.
we've done some analytics with Patrick on this before, and showed you kind of who is the biggest, who is sort of given away, you know, the results prior to the race and all that. I think, I mean, it's quite well, at least the flow is quite plausible, apart from maybe the first phrase, as Lewis Hamilton. I don't think Lewis Hamilton would say as Lewis Hamilton, but like,
Yeah.
kind of just knowing how, you know, generally the way Lewis Hamilton speaks, you know, he normally says pretty standard things, and I think it's probably kind of a product of a training, you know, media training that they have, but very often he talks about like car performance and all that kind of stuff. So there were some things that are quite generic, I think, just to sort of, you know, we need to push ourselves and kind of give 110% and all that kind of stuff that you normally sort of expect to hear. But he also, I think, one of the features that, at least in kind of my research of kind of driver speech, a lot of times Lewis Hamilton always says something about the car. He would say, "Well, we have, you know, this car and these kind of the cool features." I have also sort of, apart from kind of speaking aside of you know, that now you can generate some answers from drivers even if you haven't met them. That's pretty cool. I also wanted to ask Patrick whether the some of the images that you produced for the episode were made in DALL-E.
No, and there is the other one, the
Okay.
stable diffusion 1.5. This is a free version. Mostly you have to pay for it, but there are some pages where you can create images for free. And honestly, these algorithms are not as sophisticated as the more advanced one that you have to pay for. So, and I mean, it will be
So
interesting to, yeah.
yeah,
Sorry,
yes.
just to, yeah.
Go ahead.
So it will be interesting. I mean, I can ask, for example, the algorithm to make an image with Lewis Hamilton, but today, 2023, this is not as realistic, but I'm sure it will look quite realistic in few years. Also, I mean, thinking about virtual platforms, we are already working on not only that the AI can create an image, but the AI can create the object. So you may ask the AI maybe in 5 years to create an object which looks like Lewis Hamilton, which can be then used in the metaverse. Of course, also AI can already copy the voice, so we can have the words like Lewis would speak in the voice Lewis is speaking from a 3D object moving like Lewis Hamilton. So quite fascinating future we may see.
Yeah, I mean, we can actually produce some deep fakes, and maybe we could do this. And I think this is a good opportunity to speak about what we are planning to do in the next season. And so yeah, I mean, I just want to say just to add to Patrick's. To what Patrick said, I mean, you can use again. OpenAI has a tool called DALL-E, and you can use it to generate images. And Patrick generated some in kind of these tools, and anyone can use it. You can use it if you want. And I think DALL-E also gives you about 20 runs, 20 20 attempts to generate things for free, and then they start charging.
Yes.
But I mean, obviously I'm not as sort of eager user of something that is out there, so I added some images to today's episode that I just generated in Python, and this, done with TensorFlow, so like kind of from scratch. So it's not really from with the ready-made tool, but I'm sure we are using similar libraries. It's just that there is a nice interface on the website, which I don't have, and I just use programs. But what I wanted to say is definitely, I mean, Patrick and I, what we want to do in the new season, we will do some specials where we'll show you some analytics from races, because now that we're going into the 80s and further up to 2023, there is more data available on races, and we can already do some sensor type of analytics and show you some of the results from that. Maybe some forecasting based on sensor data, things like this. I mean, one thing that just came to my mind, and I haven't planned this, but I can definitely generate some deep fakes. Like Patrick said, like there are deep fakes where you can actually generate a video with someone that is not the actual video, and we can maybe even have a kind of contest here, or ask you guys which one is the real one and which one is not, and you can basically give us some comments. But maybe we try to do this live somewhere kind of mid-year, so that we can get some live audience for it. And yeah, we will also try some experimental formats. Maybe we will do some interviews this year. At least that's what we're thinking. Let's see how much we will succeed in this. But yeah, I mean, I think it would be really cool to actually look at some deep fakes, and you can generate very very cool images that will be very, very, very like the actual person, but not necessarily. You could, based on some features of the picture, you should be able to tell that that's not real. And I can even try to generate some videos, and let's see if you guys can understand that that's not actual Lewis Hamilton or Max Verstappen.
Yeah. So sounds like a plan.
Yeah, looks great. All right. And on with that, well, thanks a lot for being with us. And yeah, well, I mean, I'm really excited about the new season, and we hope to see you next time. But obviously, we will continue talking about 1980s, and we're getting into very cool era in Formula One now that we are discussing at the moment. And if not for kind of for anything, you can expect to meet Ayrton Senna very soon in our episodes, and we definitely will talk about him and about many other drivers that competed at the same time. And we will we will probably talk about who is the greatest driver of them all. And yeah, we hope to see you later with us.
Yeah. So,
all right. Thank you.
See you later. Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.